when a journalist tries to corner J.D. Vance on live TV. But it backfires spectacularly. A journalist, confident in his ability to control the conversation, attempts to put J.D. Vance in a tight spot on live television, confronting him with pointed questions about his past. He believes he holds the upper hand, but then something no one saw coming, everything shifts in an instant. Before we jump in, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Now, picture this. The bright studio lights blaze down, illuminating the set of one of the most widely watched talk shows in America. The energy crackles in the air as J.D. Vance, the newly sworn-in vice president, strides onto the stage. Fresh from taking his oath of office, he carries himself with an unmistakable air of quiet confidence, the kind that says he has nothing to hide and everything to prove. But Marcus Bennett, the show's sharp-tongued and politically outspoken host, has a different agenda. Despite his producer's assurances that this would be a respectful conversation about the new administration, there's a telling gleam in his eye, one that suggests he has something else in mind. As Vance takes his seat, the usual pre-interview chatter is rushed, almost mechanical. Bennett's smile is there, but it never quite reaches his eyes. The production team, typically relaxed, seems unusually tense. Vance, a former Marine, has been trained to read situations like this. His instincts tell him this is an ambush. Every question coming his way is likely to be a carefully laid trap, just waiting to be sprung. And then it begins. Bennett starts with a seemingly harmless question, his voice dripping with an artificial sweetness that anyone with experience can see through. "Mr. Vice President," he says smoothly, gripping his cue cards just a little too tightly. "Let's talk about your journey, from being a Trump critic to becoming his second-in-command. Quite the transformation, wouldn't you say?" Vance doesn't flinch. Instead, he offers a calm, measured smile, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of someone who has lived, learned, and grown. "You know, Marcus," he replies, "that's actually the perfect place to start, because this isn't just about politics, it's about something much bigger. It's about the American spirit, the ability to grow, to learn, and to evolve when presented with new experiences and new facts." The audience leans in. This wasn't the defensive response they were expecting. Bennett shifts in his chair, clearly thrown off balance. His carefully rehearsed follow-up question suddenly feels weaker. "Growth and understanding?" Bennett scoffs, forcing a smirk. "Is that what we're calling it now?" Some would say it's just political convenience. But Vance remains unshaken. "You see, Marcus," he says evenly, "in America, we have a long tradition of reevaluating our views when new facts emerge. Years ago, I saw things through a narrow lens. But then, I witnessed something incredible. I saw policies that truly helped the hard-working, forgotten Americans I wrote about in my book. That changed my perspective." Bennett's expression tightens, just slightly, but Vance notices. Then he delivers a question of his own. "Tell me, Marcus," Vance asks, his gaze steady, "have you ever changed your mind about something important? Have you ever taken a step back, looked at new evidence, and realized that maybe your first judgment wasn't entirely right?" Silence. Bennett hesitates, just for a fraction of a second. And in that moment, something shifts. Bennett tries to regain control, shuffling his cards hastily. "We're here to talk about your changes, Mr. Vice President, not mine," he snaps. "So, let's discuss your recent speech at the National Prayer Breakfast. You spoke about divine guidance in government decisions. Don't you think that's a dangerous mix of church and state?" The room tenses. Bennett has just stepped onto sacred ground. But if he thought this would throw Vance off, he was sorely mistaken. Vance leans forward, his voice calm but powerful. "Divine guidance, Marcus?" he repeats. "What I actually said was that our founding fathers understood the importance of moral guidance in leadership. They weren't afraid of faith, they were afraid of tyranny." From the audience, a few quiet "Amen" murmurs ripple through the air. Bennett's jaw tightens. "But surely, in our modern, diverse society," Bennett begins, only to be gently but firmly cut off. "Let me finish this thought," Vance says, holding up a hand. "Because it's important." His voice remains steady, but there's an unmistakable weight behind his words. "When I took my oath of office, I place my hand on the Bible, just like leaders before me have done for generations. Not because we're establishing a state religion, but because we recognize that our rights don't come from the government, they come from God. A new energy sweeps through the audience. Even Bennett's producer is watching intently from behind the cameras. Then, Vance adds something unexpected, his voice laced with personal reflection. You know, Marcus, when I served in the Marine Corps, nobody questioned our chaplains. Nobody mocked us for praying before a mission. Because in those moments, when everything was on the line, even the skeptics understood that some things are bigger than politics. Bennett's face flushes. He knows he's losing control of the conversation. Desperate to shift gears, he tries another approach. Let's move on to your relationship with President Trump, he says quickly. Your recent statement about him being God's instrument for America's renewal, don't you think that's a bit extreme? Vance doesn't miss a beat. You know what I think is extreme? He counters, his tone unwavering. That some in the media seem more bothered by a leader who prays than by policies that hurt American families. Silence. Even Bennett has no quick comeback for that. But since you brought up President Trump, Vance continues, let's talk about results instead of rhetoric. Let's talk about the impact of policies on real American lives. The energy in the room shifts. Even Bennett's trademark rapid-fire interruptions have faded. For the first time, it seems like he is truly on the defensive. And the interview? Well, it continues to unfold in a way no one could have anticipated. As the conversation carries on, it becomes clear that what started as an attempt to corner J.D. Vance has transformed into something much bigger. It's not just a debate. It's a moment of truth. A moment that challenges not only the narrative, but the very idea of what it means to grow, to stand firm in your beliefs, and to refuse to be bullied into silence. And by the time J.D. Vance rises from his chair, the audience is already on their feet, delivering a standing ovation that shakes the studio. Bennett sits there, stunned, his attempted ambush completely dismantled, not by aggression, but by unwavering principle and quiet strength. And that, my friends, proves one thing. Sometimes, the best response to arrogance is dignity. And the strongest answer to bias? Truth. If you enjoyed this powerful story about standing firm in your beliefs, be sure to like and subscribe. And remember, faith, family, and freedom aren't just words. They're the foundation of everything we hold dear. God bless you, and God bless America.